on a TV somewhere in the corner there in this bar, off to the side, we saw the Oklahoma-Texas game. And then every now and then we looked over and then we looked at Gerhard, who had just talked complete trash against Kentucky.
The Texas-Kentucky.
What did I say?
Oklahoma, Texas.
I meant Kentucky and Texas. Sorry, everyone knew what I meant. Okay, so we're looking to glance over there and we look at Kentucky and Texas. Then we look over at Gerhard and we're like, okay, well, maybe this is not the Kentucky that you were just like totally dogging on for several days in a row. And then the game goes into overtime, and we're like, well, what's happening over here? Okay, then it ends, and of course Texas wins. But what is the state of the state with Texas Longhorns right now, Noah?
No apology from Gerhard, but before I get going.
Sorry, Mark Stoops. I completely underestimated your team, and I thoroughly overestimated Arch Manning. Thoroughly.
No doubt.
Yeah.
You and everybody else.
Yeah, that was an ugly football game,
Yeah.
It's just like a bad one to watch. State of the day for Texas is they celebrated that win as hard as I've seen them celebrate it like a regular season win since maybe like 2023 Alabama on the road. Like that was – it was ugly. Like Parker Washington, one of the tight ends for Texas, after the win, came up to our videographer there, Lemon Whitaker, who was on the road traveling, and did like, I posted this on my Twitter as well, did like a through the legs dribble and was like, let's play basketball, like trolling Kentucky that they're a basketball school.
Oh, wow, that's strong.
Yeah.
Wow.
After beating them in overtime. This is the preseason number 1 ranked Longhorns, by the way, with Kentucky, who hasn't had anything in a long minute. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Parker Washington, noted offensive player, who they did nothing against that Kentucky team.
Correct.
So Arch was bad, but they also averaged 1.7 yards per rush. I mean, it was like I had this graphic the other day in our newscast. It was like Texas was horrible passing the ball, like 12 of 27, and like nothing explosive. They were bad running the ball. Kentucky ran 31 more plays than them. They had way more first downs. The only reason Texas won that game is because of one man. I mean, the defense was good, whatever, but they're good every week. Ryan Niblett, the punt returner for Texas, is outstanding. The guy's story is awesome. We did it. We featured it a little bit last night on our newscast. Yeah. He had the punt return that set up the only touchdown for Texas, then the punt return late that set up a field goal for them to go up 13-10 at near the end of regulation. So the offense is in such bad shape right now. With that being said, I do think a lot of it is largely fixable. If they're able to win this week against Mississippi State, which I don't know the exact line, but I know they're favored against the Bulldogs, then they come back home for a Vanderbilt game that's going to be a massive one, because then you get the big finish after that. So this one against Mississippi State is going to be tough. And I was, again, talking to Roger Wallace, and he was like, if this 2-game stretch against Kentucky and Mississippi State, I would have been more worried for them going to Starkville now. And this is before that, because of that place is just kind of weird and it can get loud. And, I mean, again, get loud. Yeah. So this week will be as big, if not a bigger test for Texas, and they have to take a massive step forward on offense.
Yeah, you mentioned this last week, and I thought it was really well articulated. And they came up with the win on the road, but this was a really good road team. And now, obviously, we've seen some leaks this year with 2 losses on the road, barely beating a team that a lot of people think that you should have beat by a lot more. And as you said, maybe over-celebrating a little bit there in Lexington. Now that you go back on the road in this matchup, what do you think the mindset is for this week's game against the team? Mississippi State has been right there with Tennessee and with others, and they're still, obviously hungry for their first SEC win.
It's going to be interesting for Texas because they're out without maybe their biggest leader in Michael Taff on the defensive side, who, that's a big injury for this Texas team. Look to be without, I should say, for this upcoming week. So that's going to be a big one for Texas. I think they're hungry to get back on the field. Arch said last week let me rewind a little bit. I think after the Oklahoma game, he said it's good to practice coming off a loss because you're angry. Remember, they got rocked by Florida. The offense was bad. They all talked about how great a week of practice they had against leading up to the Oklahoma game, I should say, and how that led into a very good showing against the Sooners. Arch, after the Kentucky game, was like, this is perfect because it feels like a loss offensively, but we still won. So they kind of have a hunger to get back out there.
Sure.
And, Quinn Ewers said this a couple times in his first year starting, where he's like, for example, after he they beat Oklahoma like 34-3 his freshman year. He's like, I thought I had it all figured out after that point. He was listening to everybody say how great he was, and then he was massively struggling after that. Arch is probably a bit more seasoned because he's in his third year in college football, but after that Oklahoma game, you could see him take like that deep breath and everything. So I'm not saying he was like complacent, but there's got to be a level of urgency that I think they probably now again have after how ugly things were against Kentucky.
Yeah, I think we have the latest from Steve Sarkisian this week. Let's take a listen into Coach following the close win there against Kentucky.
You know, the fact that expectations at the University of Texas are always going to be high. But I think we've raised the bar from where we were when I got here to where we are now. And that's a credit to the players and the staff and the organization and the administration. We're a playoff team. That's what we are now. You know, we're back-to-back years. We've gone to the semifinals with an opportunity to go to the national championship game. And so when that becomes the standard, right, then we all have to hold ourselves to that standard. And that's okay. I don't know what's the hardest part of our schedule yet, right? We're going on the road for the 4th straight week. We're getting on an airplane to go play a game in a hotel that's not our own. And that's pretty challenging too for not only young people, but coaches and everybody involved. You know, we got home at 3:30 in the morning the other night, and we're back in the office at 8 o'clock, back to work, back to game plan, and we're going to go on the road again. And so there's different things that are tough about a schedule. This stretch has been difficult too from a mindset perspective. And so I know we've got other games down the road that everybody's looking to. Man, we've got a bullseye on this one because this is the most important game of the season for us because it's the next one. And we've said all along, the SEC is a very daunting task when you work your way through our conference. And Michael Taft reminded me in the locker room after the game the other night, the SEC champs of last year went to that same stadium and won 13-12. And so it's not always about how pretty wins are in our conference. Sometimes you just got to find a way to win. And we were able to do that. And now our focus is on, by any means necessary, we got to find a way to win Saturday in Starkville, Mississippi. And it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a tough game.
I'm going to roll my eyes so far. The entire time he was just talking just now and all of the complaints, Noah, my eyes were rolling so far in the back of my head at the amount of excuse. I love Steve Sarkisian. By far my favorite coach after Nick Saban left in the SEC, him, Lane Kiffin. I mean, they're some of the greatest when it comes to just being characters or good people. Just I really love Sark. Dude makes $11 million to coach football. You got to get up. You got to go to this, turn around, do this. I mean, come on, man. Like, the complaints, bro, like, I get it, okay? Life is hard, but, like, people have got it worse. It's going to be okay. You're coaching football for a living. You make $11 million. It's going to be okay.
That's why I'm saying the SEC, these turnarounds and the big tough road games.
Fool you, bro. Listen, they're coaching the greatest conference in college football. They make more money than God. They're going to be okay. They're going to be okay.
They do make a lot of money, but I will say this month of October for Texas, we talked about it beforehand, is – oh, my gosh. It's a tough one, Simone, okay? They haven't played at home once.
Oh.
I mean...
Then go complain to your AD, my dog. Like, listen, we're not feeling bad for you. I feel bad for Roger. No. Roger's got to, if he got to travel with the team or leave on. I mean, have you even left KXAN in 4 weeks? No, because I don't feel bad for you. Are you traveling? Or what are you doing, dog?
Here's who we're not going to feel bad. Okay, I agree. We don't feel bad for Texas. We certainly don't feel bad for Roger. That's a given. And then
I love Roger. We're in lockstep. That is my guy.
Yeah, good guy, but we do not feel bad for him. He has a good job, a great family, all that stuff. He gets to work with us, so he's a happy guy. But what was the question? Oh yeah, Texas in the month of October has, first of all, for me, awesome, because they haven't been home and it's so hot and I don't have to cover a game when it's 95 degrees out. Second of all, yeah, I mean, you have this stretch where it is Oklahoma, Mississippi State, Kentucky, Florida, and all the way from home. Yeah, by the end of it, this is something that Sark has not been used to as a head coach, this level of competition this much consistently in this conference. So I know he's seen it before, but navigating that. The Big 12
is always there. The Big 12 is always there. They're sitting here saying, hey, please come back. Please come back here. Please come back and play with us because our league doesn't matter anymore.
And I do love it. And from a football standpoint, you're right. This is a tough stretch. But you mentioned Florida, Mississippi State, and Kentucky. Between them, they have 0 wins in the SEC, and one doesn't have a coach.
I mean, that's why we said it was a winnable stretch, but hasn't looked good.